dekat dalam kita punya link tree. You can have a look on that. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and a very good morning to all of you. Today I'll try my best to explain about the overview of writing an outbreak report. As you know, the outbreak report is one of the big concern with regard to the documentation for any outbreak that happen in your district, or if you work under the JKN, also JKN are quite meticulous with regard to this thing lah, to maintain their KPI and their performance. Just to get a clear picture, whatever that I'm going to discuss is not going to be detailed in terms of the arrangement, but more on the component, and then after that on the word tu yang lebih penting. Sebenarnya yang pentingnya sebenarnya macam mana kita nak buat table of content, how we want to do the reference, how we want to perform the we call it as latex lah. Nanti kalau anda belajar yang lebih tinggi, anda akan dapati cara-cara membuat report ni sebenarnya lebih bagus menggunakan latex ataupun syntax yang ada. Contohnya di dalam format R pun dia ada dia punya format tapi saya tak rasa lah zaman sekarang ni akan pakai all this thing. Mungkin lagi 100 tahun lah kot baru you all ada terbuka hati untuk tengok benda ni. Faham ke apa yang saya maksudkan ni? Tak faham dia macam mana? Laporan ni sebenarnya a very good report are going to be consist of something that you can analyze, something that you can publish, interactive, and then you can republish it again and again. Tapi kebanyakan report yang daripada anda punya word, dia adalah benda yang anda proses kat luar, copy paste masuk dalam tapi yang sebenarnya yang terbaik adalah apabila you buat di dalam dashboard itu sendiri. Ini nanti anda boleh tengok saya akan tunjukkanlah contoh-contoh yang ada. Kalau tak pun mari kita panas badan dulu tengok. Boleh lihat contoh-contoh yang ada. Kalau sempat kejap lagi saya bagilah 1-2 contoh yang daripada R. Saya untuk laporan ni saya pakai R lah. Jarang saya pakai Python. Python ni akan datang lah baru nak khatam kan. Alright, so this is the number of objective. We have 3 types of objective. Understand the investigation outbreak report, recognize element to include, and then different types. So as you know, outbreak report ni dia ada banyak kan? Tak banyak pun lah, ada 3 je kan. Apa tu? Preliminary lagi? Preliminary, secondary. Lepas tu final. Preliminary, dia maksudnya laporan awal. Lepas tu laporan akhir tu last kali. Laporan dia ada interim yang tengah-tengah tu. Itu antara yang penting lah. Okay, basic step of an investigation, you know already that we have at least 11 lah kan. 11 steps. But this is the much more comprehensive. The first one is verify whether there is an outbreak happen or not. How we want to verify the outbreak is depend on what? On the current situation against the national standard or whatever guideline given lah by the Ministry of Health kan. Kita Malaysia ni kita ada SOP yang agak rigid sikit, di mana setiap negeri ni dia kena ikut apa yang KKM cakap kan. Dia tak boleh ikut dia punya sendiri-sendiri lah. Faham kan? Kalau anda PBT pun anda tak boleh kata saya nak 10 kes baru dikira apa. Tak boleh, dia kena ikut apa guideline dalam buku yang diterbitkan oleh KKM. Walaupun buku tu hanyalah garis panduan. Still kena follow. Okay, and then you are going to define the case and then tabulate the data. Ini macam biasalah kan. Time, place, person kan. Time, place, person ni memang we cannot move away from it when talk about the outbreak. And then control measures, as you know, the very best thing is actually preventive measures. But when the outbreak is happen, nothing can be undo. Despite of that, we need to control whatever happen, and then we need to make sure that in the future, the same thing are not going to be repeated. And then formulate and test an hypothesis. It is based on whatever data is available during our investigation and how many samples that we have. If you got very little sample, also you cannot generate a very good hypothesis lah. And then you are going to execute additional study if needed. Additional study ni include the genomic study, some sort of study with regard to the genetics, something with regard to the computer model, simulation and so on. And this is all additional studies. Ini hanya berlaku bila? Additional studies. When there is enough resource. Kalau tak ada resource memang tak akan ada additional study. Faham kan? Macam COVID dulu kan. Bila berlaku COVID ni memang banyaklah government spend a lot of money to initiate a proper mitigation plan to stop the outbreak from happening. Implement, and then last kali but not least is communicate findings. So one of the way to communicate findings is using the report. Okay. However, during this kind of tutorial also and also explanation, I'm going to explain how you want to communicate findings using the interactive component, which is namely as website and also social media. Later on, I'm going to teach all of you lah about that. Kalau sempat kita buat website tu pagi ni, petang kita buat social media kalau sempat lah. And then kalau sempat kita analyze what kind of analysis that we are going to perform during this kind of platform. Kenapa kita ada all these things? Communicate finding. Why we need to communicate our findings? So the very important thing to communicate is actually to align your risk understanding and how you want to take an action and mitigation measures so that it won't disturb the flow of safety precaution. It does require a lot of amount in terms of monetary funds and so on are going to be reuse it in a optimized manner. Kita tak nak nanti orang ni buat lain kan. Jadi bila banyak benda yang berlainan, so outbreak pun tak terkawal, last kali kita akan ada masalah. Alright, why we communicate the findings is because of the documentation of action, share of the insight, record performance and also other things. I just want to ask you, try to make sure that each one of you are going to be published at least one article during your candidature. Satu pun jadilah. You ada banyak sebenarnya cara nak buat artikel kan. You boleh buat gunakan you punya data daripada SA, situational analysis. As long as it is 5 to 7 pages of the manuscript, also you can publish it straight away. And then you also have the outbreak experience. And then of course lah, you have the spatial and temporal analysis that you can alter the data to be displayed like this and like that. Kan? Banyak anda lah yang duduk JKN, saya tak nak cakap lah, lagi banyak data kamu lah. But the question is, why we need to communicate our findings so that our future generation are keep aligned. That is where, if you are bosses, you want to educate people. That is where, if you are the higher ranking officer, you want to explain to the lower officer, subordinate, to make sure that this thing is not being carried out because it is not effective, something like that. But when you do not perform any kind of publication or communication of finding, then therefore we cannot say much lah kan. Banyak nak buat conference, saya tak habis-habis sampai bila. Bercakap ni memang siapa-siapa boleh bercakap, betul. Nak menulis ni, tak ramai yang can write a very proper report. Some of the report and the part of this three, siapa ni? Jon Snow ni siapa? Orang yang buat Snow betul. The father of epidemiology kan. Why we call it as a father of epidemiology? Because he helps a lot to understand the people about time, place, person during the cholera outbreak. And then he is one of the pioneers using a spatial technique to identify a potential environmental health issues that connect to the public health issues. So let us see some of the history. So this is MMWR as I mentioned to you. Ini ada dekat mana ni? Dekat Amerika. Ada weekly. Apa dia? Weekly kita. Okay, this is one of the example lah. Morbidity and Mortality Week Report, CDC, June 1981. So whatever it is, the report written is very important to ensure that whatever is good is being maintained. Whatever need to be improved are going to be improved for the betterment of the professionals. So kat bawah kita ni ada banyak orang yang bekerja. PKA, PPKP, Environmental Officer, Science Officer, whatever it is lah. Semuanya akan ada investigation masing-masing. Orang yang dekat lab dia ada dia punya cara dia. Orang dekat public health, KA macam kita ni adalah cara kita. Jadi my encouragement to all of you is actually publish a report. And of course lah, you need some sort of permission and so on, just layankan aja lah. At least you can publish one report, for me lah, one report per year pun dah syabas betul lah. For the time being lah, for the time being. And then you encourage yourself, your juniors, at least each officer publish one report per year. So you can imagine lah, satu PKD ada berapa banyak PPKP, PKP? 30, 40? Satu tahun boleh ada 30, 40 artikel. With regard to the newsletter, a very short one that are talking about a certain disease, that are talking about a certain investigation. Whatever it is, after it's quite sometimes, it's going to become a body of knowledge. Apa maksud body of knowledge? Rangka kepandaian, ilmu bidang kamu. So bidang ni tak akan boleh pandai melainkan you are a part of the system. So to be yourself part of the system, you need to write the report. Of course the report need to be properly arranged and also created. So who writes the report? So the field epidemiology, all of you are field epidemiology and also applied epidemiologists. And then outbreak team. Majority of you who are performing this outbreak report is nothing more than just to follow whatever the JKN want. Betul tak? You buat report ni bukan sebab you nak buat pun. Kalau boleh you pun tak nak buat, betul tak? You nak buat report sebab you punya boss suruh you buat report, betul? And to prove that you already done your job. That's all. But to look into a different perspective, I may encourage you to not just make a report, but publish your findings, so that the people outside there get the benefit from your investigation. That is the gist lah daripada report writing. All anticipated agency must agree what is in the report. Okay, this is the example. Type of the report, complaint form. Complaint form also is a part of the report. Internal report is whatever report that you did. State report, and then you got the peer review journal. Whatever it is that we document it in a written format, it need to be archived. Apa maksud archive? Dia perlu dijilidkan. Okay, a very sensitive question. How many reports that you publish are actually being archived? And people, for me, example lah, myself, as a very young people, contoh lah, saya tak young lah kan, contoh saya young, I go to PNM, you know PNM? Perpustakaan Negara Malaysia, I just want to study about outbreak. Can I get a lot of information out there? Can. So why is very important, especially with regard to the digital archive. Kenapa digital archive is important? So that the new generation are going to be access all this information and they know what already happened before. And they can prevent it from happening. Kadang-kadang outbreak kita ni sebenarnya tak lain tak bukan, it's just a loop that are going to be repeated again and again. We fail to control it at the beginning. Why? Because this one, education. This one, mentality. This one, behavior, attitudes. All that one can be changed through report. When you have a report, when you have a culture of knowledge that people already know about all the things, macam MWR report yang anda tengok bawah CDC Atlanta ni, who can access it? Only PKD? All the public, all the people in Malaysia also can access. But our country, sometimes we are quite secretive. Betul tak? We are quite secretive lah in the nature of your business, it's okay lah. But in the nature of the knowledge, we are not public. So that one anda kena fikir-fikirkan lah. So this is the example of the report. We got the laporan awal, preliminary, laporan harian, daily report, and then last but not least is the laporan akhir. So this is the basic of the report structure. You need to have a summary, you need to have an introduction and also background, outbreak description, methods, result discussion, lesson learned, recommendation, acknowledgement, and also references including the supporting document. All of these need to be compiled in a one single report. It's a very comprehensive report lah. It's not a thesis. Kalau anda buat thesis, cerita lain lah. One of the idea, just to give you an idea lah, if you got more than hundreds of reports in our archive, what will happen in the future in your field, especially environmental epidemiology? I do believe lah. There are some scientists that know about the systematic review, meta-analysis. They know already what kind of intervention need to be taken into places. Rather than macam sekarang kita buat research oleh universiti, publication oleh universiti, yang orang dekat field ni hanya buat field epidemiology. Last kali dia tak ada kesinambungan. And okay, summary. Who, what, when, how. Dia tak banyak pun. Slide ni nanti kalau anda dah start bosan, jangan lagi cepat saya bagi. So, what caused the outbreak? Causal, okay, anda kena ingat causal, influential, relationship. So all these things need to be arranged according to the specific terminologies and objective. Kalau anda nak tengok causal relationship, you cannot use the OR lah. You need to use the RR. You need to perform the cohort ataupun longitudinal rather than the cross-sectional ataupun case control. So recommendation and ongoing action, pending and required action. Okay, one of the best thing about KKM, we have the research institute. Betul tak? And then research institute fokus buat research je lah. Kan? Kita pula fokus buat kawalan, ada macam-macam lah. Lepas tu cycle tu berpusing lah, tapi dia berpusing dalam dua roda yang berbeza. Faham Ini buat hal dia, ini buat hal dia. Tak pernah buat hal ni sama-sama. Tak betul. Betul tak betul? You don't believe lah. Alright? Dah tercakap dah useless tu. Tak apa, nanti pandai-pandai lah fikirkan. Alright, so introduction to the background. Surveillance trends is very important. That's why you have the disease surveillance system. You have been taught with Dato' Dr. Pak In kan? About how the surveillance, you have many type of surveillance. Laboratory surveillance, rumah surveillance. Lagi surveillance apa lagi? Banyak lah. Apa dia? Mandatory surveillance. laboratory surveillance lagi, sentinel surveillance lagi, rumah surveillance. You tak ada apa? Environmental surveillance. Environmental surveillance that are being gathered from all of you using the secondary data ke whatever, we don't have. If we want, then we ask the third party. We don't have our own data. In fact, all the data can be fetched, can be obtained freely of charge. Saya dah pernah ajar kan cara nak ambil data daripada luar negara, daripada data environment. Dah pernah ajar kan? Belum guna open weather map, belum? Oh, itu saya ajar budak semester 4. Okay, nanti saya ajar. Kalau nak belajar lah, senang, dia free. Anda boleh dapat data tu setiap minit. Apa dah? Setiap minit boleh dapat. Sangat bagus. So when your epidemiologist asks you what is the weather today, this is the weather. What is the weather yesterday? So you will have the data. And then you can also include the specific event to lead of the investigation, how the outbreak, with the report, state to confirm the outbreak, and so on and so forth. So we have numbers of method. Yang ini adalah more on our epidemiological and also other kind of investigation. As you know, we have the epidemiological investigation, we got the laboratory confirmation ataupun laboratory investigation, and then we got the epidemiology, environmental, and then we got what? We got another one is clinical based. Faham kan? Maksudnya ini semua adalah sumber-sumber maklumat yang kita dapat dalam our methodology during our investigation. So epidemiology, as you know, based on the epidemiological study, microbiological or toxicological is depends on the agent, whether it's coming from the chemical, biological, whatever, and then we got from the environmental. So these three important things are need to be interrelated when you talk about the outbreak management report. So is there any outbreak happen without agent? Ada tak outbreak berlaku tanpa ejen penyakit? Ada tak? Semua satu sekolah histeria. Apa ejen dia? Syaitan. Tak. This is just to make yourself think. What do you think? Ada tak penyakit yang tidak ada ejen? In the modern world, we don't really look into that perspective lah. But you try to think about it because sometimes the agent is actually not very impractical to be investigated until a deeper condition. Faham kan? Sangat-sangat halus. Even kalau you nak kata outbreak dengue pun, kalau you dengar syarahan-syarahan daripada pakar-pakar pun, kadang-kadang kita boleh dapati bahawa bila berlaku changes with regard to the species of the virus, kan daripada den 1, den 2, den 3, den 4, what is that indicate? Is the virus is mutate or there is some other people that bring it in? What do you say? You must able to think that kind of critical way of thinking lah. Okay, sometimes our policies that enable ourselves to include other people from outside, we don't quarantine them, betul? But they bring something that we do not know, and then they stay somewhere that there are some hostile environment that are introduced themselves to being bitten by all these mosquito, and our what we call it, our mosquito yang dara ni that are not being contaminated with all this disease are prone to get those viruses. And then kita adalah den 1, den 2, den 3, den 4. Sampai sekarang kita nak den berapa lagi? So that is the another idea lah. Okay, result. Of course, result ada dua. Pertama, yang ini mesti kena tahu. Descriptive result mesti ada. What is the main thing about the descriptive statistics? You are going to describe about the people, time, and also place. What is the time? How many people got attacked? What is the gender? What is the main age group that are being impacted by this kind of outbreak, and so on and so forth. So the next one is the clinical data, geographical distribution, and last but not least is the epidemiological curve. And then we also ask about the other analytical question, such as the response rate, risk factor analysis, and so on. And then we have the other results. So the other results are going to be presented in a different way sometimes. For example, kalau kita ada genetics punya meaningful data, we need to use the network analysis to form the centrality and decentralities of the investigation, something like that. And then we have the environmental risk. Environmental risk tak lain tak bukan yang macam anda biasa buat lah, HACCP, select sana, select sini, hantar lab, betul? Betul kan? Kenapa kita ambil swab sampel? You nak menentusahkan ejen apa yang terlibat kan. You ambil swab kat jari, kat kuku kan. Ni dekat cincin, you ambil betul. Lepas tu, you hantar lab buat analisis, betul? Lepas tu Salmonella typhi, itu je. Betul tak? Tak pun Staphylococcus aureus, itu je. Kan? Sampel benda lain, hipotesis benda lain. Kenapa? Be preventable. That's why in HACCP or any industrial related outbreak, we need to have the frequent monitoring and also active monitoring. We don't need the passive monitoring. What does that mean by the active monitoring? They need to continuously give their report. That's why sekarang kita ada dipanggil sebagai apa dia? Real time monitoring. Tahu real time monitoring? We in real time monitor the conditions of their warehouse, for example. We monitor the conditions of their water supply, for example. But we do not have that one being enforced at the moment. Betul? Sekarang Malaysia ni tunggu benda ada outbreak ke ataupun benda yang rutin saja baru kita buat. Betul? Kita tak akan lebih-lebih lah. Tak nak lebih-lebih. Sebab apa? Sebab penat lah, penat. Sedangkan kita dah ada alat, kita dah ada teknologi that we can monitor in a remote area about the conditions of the water and so on, tapi we do not want to venture that one. Of course, we'll try our best on that lah kan. That's why kalau anda pergi yang Ehru gitu, we learn a little bit here and there about how to use the IoT to solve this problem. And then discussion is mainly from the findings of your hypothesis. You need to discuss whether there is a significant relationship, there is no significant relationship. What kind of relationship related to this IV and DV, which is the factor and also the outcome. And then you need to justify the conclusion and then point of action or any corrective action needed based on the public health punya perspektif. Last kali, dalam discussion juga, you need to highlight the lesson learned. Whatever it is, during outbreak, there must be something new or there must be something that you can improve in the future. Especially with regard to the whatever happened already. Contoh kan, macam outbreak. Outbreak ni sepatutnya tak boleh berlaku. Terjadilah juga outbreak. Apa nak buat? Pertama, we must accept the truth that problem is already occurred. The reason of many people do not want to improve is because they do not want to accept their weakness. This is weakness. Whatever problem, ni saya cerita problem, saya tak nak cerita dengue lah. Saya cerita overall. When there is an outbreak, there is some mishap ataupun kecelaruan ataupun kerosakan dalam sistem sedia. The next one is try to contain whatever happen and then improve for the future. And the fourth ni yang kadang-kadang orang tak buat. Apa dia? Continuously improve so that it won't repeat again. Nombor 4 ni masalah. Kita kadang-kadang continuously hope that the outbreak happen so that we get employ a lot of PPKP. That is different perspective. Tak percaya tengok. This is the problem yang kita perlu highlight di dalam discussion. Lesson and future investigation. Okay, contoh outbreak dah berlaku. Agent dah tahu. Pesalah pun dah tahu. Okay, ni menarik ni saya tanya tuan-tuan puan. Last kali apa yang tuan-tuan puan akan buat? Okay, remember interestingly, all of you as a PPKP, you have a regulation. Apa dia? Regulation. Under the CDC Act, dia adalah satu act yang macam kata orang ni Power Rangers lah. Betul? Sebab you boleh menggunakan kuasa untuk menutup apa-apa tempat yang berpotensi menjadi tempat wabak. Betul tak? Tak percaya, tengok balik dalam you punya CDC Act. Apa maksud dia dekat sini? So, planning for future investigation and surveillance is very important and critical among yourself. That's why I do believe a lot of preventable disease, communicable disease can be prevented at your level because you all have power. Cuma kadang-kadang you all need to have the support. Nak kena ada knowledge jugalah kan. Contoh macam you tutup taska, betul? You all biasa tutup taska kan, tutup kedai lagi, tutup apa lagi? You tutup lah apa saja boleh tutup, betul tak? Betul tak? You tutup tak shopping mall? Tak. You tutup tak? Apa lagi yang tak tutup juga? You fikirkanlah. Tak, why I ask you this kind of things so that you know when investigation is done, when outbreak is already resolved, then you have an idea what to improve and improve it accordingly. No need to force yourself to enforce it. Sometimes you can use the self-regulation. Apa maksud self-regulation? Menyokong dengan syarat. Macam you nak buat permohonan, orang nak buat perumahan, you akan buat penilaian pelan kan terhadap kesihatan. Pernah dengar gitu komen daripada Dr. Subra with regard to the environmental impact ataupun health impact assessment. Ini saya tahu very clear picture because you have a jurisdiction together with the PBT. Okay, and then recommendation we need to perform based on the findings to control, to prevent, and then the why we say to control and then to prevent, not to prevent and control. Because when outbreak is already there, it's happened already. Then we need to analyze and also optimize what kind of mitigation measures that already been taken into place. And then we need to, sebenarnya lah you kena measure the effectiveness by right lah. But not many people willing to do this due to the certain reason lah. Antaranya is technical reason lah. Tahu technical reason kan? You nak measure balik, cukup tak bahan kimia ni, berjaya tak memusnahkan banyak penyakit dan sebagainya, for example. Whether it is worth or not worth, sometimes you're not performing it lah. Orang lain yang buat. Betul? Monitoring and evaluation ni jarang kita buat. And then we need to investigate the obstacle and shortcoming, and then anything that can causes the outbreaks. And then to empower the public. That's why public policy, or we call it as public health empowerment, is much more better and important rather than you enforce the law straight away. You need to empower the people. So anda mesti ada dalam anda punya, macam mana nak empower the people kalau report pun dia orang tak baca. They go back to square one lah. People cannot do anything because they don't read your report lah. If they read the report, they understand, oh, we cannot do this Oh, because we do this, that's why the outbreak happened. Never mind lah. We try our best not to do it again. But you never communicate what? You communicate among yourself, You don't even communicate pun with the other district, betul tak? Culture that you can communicate among yourself and also among others. Buat frequent meeting, at least lah once a month ke, macam you time tengah belajar ni, for me it's good for you to communicate once a week to refresh. Okay, dalam week ni I buat SA ni, you buat SA apa? Okay, apa pandangan you terhadap you punya SA, I punya SA? Apa you punya finding dalam you punya SA? Setiap orang present, so you share among yourself. Ada pakar boleh tengok, ada pengajar boleh tengok, and then we discuss what to improve. How you can predict what is the next outbreak are going to be happen, kat mana dan macam mana. Itu semua penting lah dalam recommendation. And last kali dalam summary, outbreak report save a moment purposes for internally and externally. Sebenarnya banyak yang anda buat ni untuk internal. You don't cross border it into the external. So that's why the other people and the other stakeholders might not be appreciate your findings. Cuba anda bayangkan kalau anda punya outbreak ni, anda share publicly ataupun anda share intelligently with the other bodies. I don't believe lah yang they all are going to be not supportive. They all are very supportive. Kan? Betul tak? Kita kan kesihatan ni bila kita cakap dengan kawan-kawan JPS, dengan siapa-siapa lah, orang Malaysia ni memang suka kesihatan ni, betul tak? Walaupun ada setengah tak suka lah. Tapi kesihatan ni maknanya kita senang buat kawan dengan orang lain. Betul? Then leverage it. That's why the outbreak report is one of the important documentation for you to present to your team. Okay, this is reference and resources. Ni contoh supporting document. Supporting document ni ketika apa ni? Ni outbreak berlaku dekat mana? Contoh kat hotel kan. Dapatkanlah senarai makanan. Betul? Macam mana nak dapat? Masa pergi ke field, ambil lah menu tu. Sekarang lagi senang, ambil gambar je. Betul? Lagi apa lagi? Menu, testing result, press release, maps, photos. So all these things must be critically in your mind. And then ini adalah laporan awal. What we need to include inside the laporan awal? Kronologi, notifikasi, magnitude, person, tempat berlaku, immediate action, hasil siasatan, data date onset, exposure, epic link, outcome, hasil siasatan lain, plot of the epic curve, distribution of cases. Distribution of cases ni maaflah saya cakap lah, kebanyakan you all banyak fokus kepada age dengan gender sahaja. You don't look into a detailed perspective. Apa maksud detailed perspective? Kalau kata dia makan apa sebelum dia makan ni? Faham? Kalau kata nasi lemak, macam mana you tanya dia makan nasi lemak? Sebab ada orang makan nasi lemak tak ada sambal. Ada orang makan nasi lemak dengan sambal, dengan telur, dengan kacang. Faham? Jadi, the detail of the foods tu, if you can synthesize it much more better, dia lagi accurate lah. Okay, hypothesis. Ni contoh jenis-jenis makanan. Immediate action. Action to be taken. Ni laporan harian pula. Tadi laporan awal. Laporan awal ni is actually to encourage you to generate an hypothesis. And when you get the hypothesis, then you will look further in terms of the risk factor in terms of environmental factors while waiting the result from the laboratory personnel and also from the other sources with regard to the clinical outcome and also laboratory finding for the biological punya indices and so on. Laporan harian, ni contoh apa yang perlu ada. Case finding, ACD, PCD, betul. You all biasa buat mop up kan? Apa? Mopping out. Mopping out you buat apa? Pergi buat active case detection, betul. Pergi rumah ke rumah, betul. Macam mana cara dia kalau orang tak bagi kerjasama? But sometimes you need to use some extraordinary approach. Otherwise, you can't break the bond. You can't break the bond. Okay. So this is the example. Current epic curve narrow down the hypothesis epidemiological study. That's why kalau you become the subordinate, you become the leaders. You must have a strong character. Anda mesti ada strong character lah. Janganlah pula anda jadi boss. Anda nak play safe. Itu masalah. Anak buah anda tak boleh buat kerja lah. If you are play safe. Too much lah. Don't too much lah. Update the progress report of the outbreak investigation as follows. Lab result, additional finding. Ini semua laporan harian. Benda ni kadang-kadang sangat-sangat penting dan berlaku acap kali ketika bencana. Disaster, when strike, sometimes outbreak happen, we can't control it. But we can try our best lah to make sure that it won't happen. Okay, so ini adalah antara perkara-perkara yang berkenaan dengan outbreak investigation and also writing up. Baik, without further ado, let us look into the example. This is not my report. This is the report given by some of your friends. Ini contoh lah. Contoh-contoh laporan yang saya dapat dan ada lah dalam simpanan saya untuk diberikan tunjuk ajar lah kepada tuan-tuan dan puan. Ini contoh laporan akhir wabak keracunan makanan. Whether it is correct or not correct, whether it is good or not good, you can use it as a guide. Okay, introduction, metodologi, keputusan. Saya duduk kelas ni memang tak ada aircon saya rasa memang awak perlu rasa terkesima lah dengan environment ni begini. So abstract, memang itu memang sudah pasti. Okey, ini pengenalan, metodologi, keputusan. Okey, latar belakang. Okey, ini contoh dekat mana tempat kan, lokaliti wabak, objektif. Okey, metodologi. Saya akan tunjuk beberapa perspektif laporan wabak lah supaya tuan-tuan dapat idea. Kejadian kes, okey, spesimen, pengurusan dan analisa data, hipotesis. Okey. So ni contoh pasta bolognese, punca wabak adalah disebabkan oleh pasta bolognese yang dimakan, nampak ini dipanggil time, place and person. Okey, bacillus cereus, okey, attack rate berapa banyak, keluh epidemik, onset pertama, onset terakhir, alright. So taburan kes mengikut demografi. So this is the example of the people. Memang sangat sikit lah kan, tak ramai pun orang yang terlibat. Taburan mengikut gejala, okey, keputusan makmal. So this is all the methodological ataupun SOP lah yang tuan-tuan puan akan hadap sewaktu menjalankan outbreak investigation. And then kita akan tengok premis menjual makanan, kita akan buat environmental surveillance, tindakan pencegahan, tindakan kawalan. Nampak kan? Ayat-ayat ni semua anda dah belajar dah sewaktu apa? Sewaktu diploma lagi. Betul kan? Lilati, rasa, hidu dan lihat, 7 langkah mencuci. Ini semua anis, bla 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 bla. Okey, siasatan mendapati, bla bla bla. Okey, kesimpulan dan cadangan, ulasan pegawai penyiasat dan juga ulasan pegawai epidemiologi. Ini contoh lah. Ini contoh. Okey, so kita tengok contoh yang kedua. Laporan wabak denggi. Ini semua contoh. Tuan-tuan puan boleh gunakan sebagai idea. I record this one. Nanti you boleh tengok. This is not meant that this is the most perfect one. Of course, you need to have the discussion with your pakar nanti sewaktu you attach dekat JKN. Tapi ini adalah antara contoh lah. Contoh-contoh yang berkenaan. Okay, demam denggi lah, apalah ni kan. Ni contoh kadar insiden. Banyak ke sikit denggi ni? Per 100,000 population. So, insiden denggi dekat Malaysia ni kira macam apa? Macam tak ada hal lah kan. Denggi ni part of our life lah. Okay. Dia angka kematian lah, kadar insiden apa semua ni kan. Ya, memang biasalah. Kita apa ada hal lah kan. Orang kena denggi. Jadi relax lah. Kan? Tak mati tak apa. Mati pun tak ada apa. Ada hal esok kerja biasa kan. So kita not take it seriously lah for me. Some of it take seriously, some of it might not. Okay, ini contoh. Ni sampai buat geospatial ni. Siap buat zoning. Siap buat zoning. Locality dekat mana, kronologi case. Okay, Dia akan tengok dekat mana 12 April. Kalau tulis dalam perkataan macam ini, kalau tanya saya lah, memang saya akan tertidur lah. Betul tak? Sebab kita tak nampak how the cases that you are talking about is interrelated with regard to our samples ataupun data. That's why a very important things you are being exposed already is the geospatial. How it is being moved from one cases to another cases. That's why kalau kes-kes anda buat macam ini, contoh, nasihat saya lah untuk ditambah baik, adalah anda boleh buat seperti mana spatial itu bergerak. Betul tak? Anda boleh buat setiap rumah ke, setiap kawasan ke, count point and polygon. Ingat lagi? Count point and polygon kan? Anda boleh buat count point and polygon. How the polygon is moved from one area to another area according to a different time. And then location. So this is the example lah. Alright. Kemudian locality dia berkaitan dengan sekian-sekian. You baca macam ni, I baca pun memang I dah nampak lah. Memang tak boleh bertahan lama. Baca dia. Cepat. Scroll. Mengenal pasti punca wabak. Jadi punca wabak hanya dapat you kenal pasti when you know where is the source. So to find out the source, you need to find out the another factors also that may interrelated with the outbreak. So one of it is the agent lah, and then the another one is the environment. And then person ni you tak boleh buat banyak lah manipulation because the person is always move. They always have the highest movement with regard to their location lah kan. And then we need to define the case, notify, pengesahan case, pengesahan. Saya tak galakkan lah anda buat outbreak nanti dekat JKN, lebih kepada bukan food lah. Sebab food ni lebih penting untuk anda faham dia punya foundation. Yang lain-lain anda boleh tambah kemudian lah. Macam ni contoh yang nombor 2 dibuat lah oleh anda punya senior. Okay, pemeriksaan dan penghapusan lava, bla bla bla, lava siding, gotong royong. Okay, kalau tanya saya sebenarnya environmental risk factor that we collect in the field either from the AKS or our PKA or our environmental health team, we need to include it also to see whether there is some interrelation with regard to the outbreak and also the cases. Ini contoh kriteria epidemiologi, locality, perbincangan. Saya tak kata ni yang terbaik lah, tapi ini contoh-contoh lah yang dibuat oleh anda punya, siapa ni? Senior-senior anda. Saya tunjukkan aja sebab nanti anda akan tertanya-tanya mana satu yang betul. Jawapan yang betul dia ada di Jabat Kesihatan dan juga JKN. Nanti anda pergi ke Jabat Kesihatan, kat JKN, tengoklah. Mana yang betul tu betul lah, mana yang tak betul tu tak betul lah. So ada ringkasan eksekutif, kita ada kejadian kes, kemudian kita ada objektif penyiasatan dan lain-lain lah. Ini contoh mukim-mukim dia, okey. Kes denggi positif, penampang, bahang kat mana-mana tempat ni lah. Ini kes 1, kes 2. Okey, objektif. Alright, kemudian kita ada keputusan. Okey. Apa sebab kita pakai NSI, tahu kan? Kenapa pakai ISI, IgG? Bila pakai NSI, bila pakai IgG? NS1. Bila pakai? Apa sebab kita pakai all this indicator? Serological indicator ni untuk apa? Untuk tahu, untuk confirm lah ada virus related of the disease. Lagi satu, apa jenis-jenis ni berbeza sebab apa? Pandai, lama ataupun baru. Okay, so ini contoh lah. Kalau epidemik memang agak menarik lah untuk anda baca dan lihat lah. Lihatlah, baca pun kalau anda sanggup baca lah. Saya dah baca dah, tapi tak sanggup lah nak terima. Sebab apa? Dia punya sometimes apa yang kita buat ni dia memang tak ada signifikan. Tak signifikan. Maksudnya dia nak jadi tu dia jadi je. Tapi the very important things that you need to understand also with regard to our country lah, Malaysia punya konteks ni adalah apa dia? Adalah the experience tu. Sometimes the experience tu yang lebih penting untuk anda dan tuan-tuan puan kenal pasti. Okey, saya pergi lagi contoh lain. Ni semua saya dapat daripada submission yang lama-lama dan some of them not even do it in a perfect manner. Saya tak cakap lah mana satu yang betul, mana satu tak betul kan. Cuma saya beritahu ini contoh-contoh laporan yang dibuat lah. Sebab ada juga yang kena buat balik fail lah, senang cerita, fail, kena buat balik. Tapi mana satu fail, mana satu tak fail, saya tak cerita kan. Whatever it is, this is just to give you a glimpse idea about what being expected by your epidemiologist dekat JKN untuk you boleh melakukan aktiviti ini dengan tuntas. So this is the example, latar belakang, locality, menentukan epidemiologi ke wabak, tindakan kawalan dan sebagainya. Okey, ini contoh zon 1, zon 2, zon 3, zon 4. Okey, ini case positif. Berapa banyak case positif? Zon 1 berapa banyak? Okey, ini adalah contoh EPID curve mengikut pendaftaran. Post MCO, after MCO. Kadang-kadang you tengok macam hebat kan? Pun belum betul-betul lagi semua. Because the expectation from your epidemiology sometimes is quite a little bit high standard lah. Bukanlah very high standard, tapi they want you to be trained to understand why we need this, why we perform this kind of analysis, what kind of the analysis to be used and so on. So you must be very sure lah whatever that you did. Okay, disinfeksi, bla bla bla, kesimpulan. Okay, ini contoh antara perkara-perkara yang berkenaan lah. Ini susun atur saringan. Ini bukti-bukti yang menunjukkan mereka ni telah melaksanakan ujian, iaitu menghantar laporan akhir. Ini contoh antara contoh-contoh lah laporan yang disiapkan lah. Ini bukan laporan lah. Ini apa ni? Borang. Borang ni nanti anda boleh isi lah. Okay. Ini semua saya tak payah ajar banyak sangat tau. Yang lebih penting adalah dia punya technicalities. How you want to create a report. That one is much more important lah. Okay. Ini daripada kawan kita. Kita boleh tengok lagi contoh lain. Okay. Food poisoning. This is the example of the food poisoning. Dekat satu kawasan di satu daerah. Alright. So ini locality involved. Dia ada tunjukkan lah dekat mana tempat yang berkenaan. Population, kawasan, okay, objective, specific, definition, classification, study type, design, summary, discussion, descriptive. Ni semua anda tahu kan? Demographic, analytical. Ni semua nak pakai apa ni? Analisis ni. Ni pakai SPSS ni. Okay, yang ni apa ni? Food attack rate. Food attack rate as I shown to you. It is based on the ill, not ill, eat, not eat. Ni contoh. So anda nak tengok apa dia? OR kan? Odds ratio. So based on the odds ratio, then you can possibly understand lah what kind of the risk. Ni odds ratio. Glasgow beer minum air keras. Siapa je lagu. So then we know exactly what is the laboratory finding. Kadang-kadang kita ambil laboratory finding kan. Result yang ada. Kalau tanya saya lah all these things should be include some of it lah. Kena letak dekat appendices. Dekat sini kebanyakannya adalah highlight. Apa maksud highlight? Dia punya output dia. Ni sampailah punya tahap apa nama ni? Bukan Jamovi ni, pakai ni Statcal. Pakai api info. Print screen je. Dahsyat apa dia? Dahsyat print screen. Sepatutnya tak ada print screen. Buat dekat dalam Excel. Untuk setiap satu makanan tu Tapi ni student ni nak tunjukkan, okay, saya pakai tahu apa yang you ajar. Macam tu. Dia nak menganjing balik lah ni. Mengajar dia. Tak ada masalah. Boleh diterima because it is a tools. Dia adalah tools ya. Okey, kemudian ada lagi satu, kita ada contoh lah. Ni tadi dah pergi tengok kan. Okey, kita ada lagi satu. Ni tadi dah tengok laporan, ni kita dah tengok apa ni? Wabak food yang akan dipresentkan. Ni contoh. Ni antara yang anda akan lakukan lah. Ini yang anda akan buat. Senang je. Outbreak report ni senang kan? Senang je. Ini contoh. Okey, dekat mana ejen infeksi ada dekat mana. Okey, objektif penyiasatan. Berapa banyak sampel yang diambil. Okey, kalau macam ni kan. Lelaki dengan perempuan. Bila you dah buat table, you jangan buat gambar. Macam ni bagus lah. You dah buat gambar, dia tak payah buat table kan? Betul? Table, gambar. Okey, ni contoh bilangan case. Ni clue epidemic. Ni contoh data-data yang ada. Punyalah gajian apa yang ambil screenshot je kan? Betul? Okay, ni awak boleh buat kan? Itu saya dah ajarkan macam mana nak gunakan Google Sheet. Kalau boleh gunakan Google Sheet. Elakkan daripada menggunakan Excel lah. Sebab nanti anda tak boleh nak share dan sebagainya kan. Ni AR apa dia? Attributable risk So anda boleh tengok keputusan makmal, bilangan sampel yang diambil. Okay. Kemudian CCP ni apa? Critical Control Point. Yang ni HACCP lah. Kalau anda pergi dekat food industries, there are numbers of CCP involved, especially on the food preparation, food storage dan lain-lain lah. Dan benda ni sebenarnya kena ada sebelum lagi outbreak tu berlaku pun. Tapi sometimes who are going to monitor them? Itu question lain lah. Alright. So yang itu jugalah perlu ditambah baik oleh tuan-tuan dan puan sebagai seorang PPKP adept. Okay, ada apa-apa soalan?